much cleaner clap this time. Okay, so welcome back to, if you've decided to click on this, the second half of the first episode of Series 2 of the Whiteboard Game, featuring me, Frederick.
And me, Chris.
And him, Chris. We've done half of our extracts. If you want to know how this game is working, please go and listen to the opening of the first half of this episode. If you haven't heard it already, that will break it down, what's going on, what we're talking about. I think we just get right on with it.
Yeah, I think so.
So, this is your number 6 we are on now.
Mm-hmm.
No idea who. So, if anything, I tried to say a band that could have been around at the time. I know it's not them. I said The Animals. I said it was called Too Beautiful. Name and descriptor for you. Don't have to acknowledge that if you don't want.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
I just called you Too Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that, mate.
Happy Valentine's. So, I said, I've added a hashtag at the end, sorry. Hashtag, that made me feel sick. It's not a it's just a, take it back, I take it back. I said Too Beautiful, 1975. Mod rock, pop rock.
Yeah, mod rock, yeah.
I think you didn't get a chance to talk about Has Now Gone, hasn't it? So that bit's wrong, but we'll find out.
Well, you can have 1 point for mod rock.
1 point, thank you.
This is by a band called, you may have heard of them, Small Faces.
I have not actually.
Heard of Small Faces?
Heard of them.
It's a song by them called Itchykoo Park.
Is that a real place?
It's not.
Oh.
We can talk about that.
Okay.
It's either spelt with a K or a C.
No clue, mate.
Different places will tell you it's spelt in different ways, but it's not an actual place, so you can't really...
You can't go there and find out.
No. But classic rock, I think, is a bit of a cop-out. But psych rock is more on it, and as you say, mod rock is...
Yeah, psych rock, yeah.
It's very fair. 1967 is when it came out. This was for the category, a song I heard out in the wild.
Out in the wild, yeah, that makes sense.
Which again, I think was a bit sort of wet.
No, but it
washy,
fits.
I mainly used it because I heard this song when I can't remember what we were doing. Me and my two of my friends, shout out Stephen and Dwayne.
Big up.
Definitely
big up.
not listening to this, but
one of them who contributed to violin on the upcoming Idiot Twin
yes,
EP.
absolutely, yes.
LP.
Exciting. I went uptown with them at one point, and we did some cool things. And because they're normies, one of the things they like to do is go to bars and drink. Imagine
what
doing
the
that.
hell?
And they went to one near Charing Cross Station, which was like a mod bar. It's like an old sort of bar, and they played a lot of like Cure stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sort of like oldie, sort of hipster sort of stuff. Basically, every bar in Brighton, but it was a bar in London instead. And it was a vibe, certainly. I didn't mind it. I liked the music that they were playing a lot because, as I say, they were playing a lot of The Cure, and I think there was some Stone Roses there.
Oh, nice, cool
as well. And this song came on, and I thought, oh, this is really good. I like it, so I had to Shazam it. And then realise that everyone's being too loud, so you can't Shazam it.
Exactly.
So you have to type in the lyrics on Google, and it comes up. And this was what come up. And it's a good song. I think they're from East London.
Oh, nice.
They're
cool.
They're East Enders.
Doom.
And yeah, I think people have tried to cross-examine where they're from and suss out what park they're talking about, but they don't really know. So there's not much point in dwelling on it.
Okay.
I can't say too much about that song. I think it's nice. It's got a really nice chord progression. I really like the bass playing of, I think his name's Ronnie Lane, the bass player.
Ronnie Lane?
I don't think any of them had big careers. You had Steve Marriott was the main guy, but I think his career is mainly known for him not being very mentally well.
Oh, that's a shame.
But I think their biggest thing, I think, was after Steve Marriott left, they renamed to Faces, and I think Rod Stewart sang for them for a bit.
Oh, okay.
Which I think was their biggest claim to fame. But as I say, I really like the bass playing on this. Ronnie Lane's also a backing singer, so it feels like, inspiring to me. But anyways, I'm going to not talk about this for too much longer because I have much more to say. I just like it.
Yeah.
I like the classic psych rock sort of stuff, so it's a good song. There you go.
There you go. So one of my favourite music-related internet videos I've seen, saw it such a long time ago, and it was what you think will happen if someone sees you Shazamming in public. It was so well done. It was basically just some guy pretending he'd seen someone Shazam and just going, "Oh, what are you? Are you Shazamming the song? Hey everyone, look! He doesn't know the music." It really cracked me up. It was good.
No, that's really what it feels like. There's a sense of
shame.
About it, yeah. Okay, your number 6.
Number 6
was a folky one.
Yes.
I couldn't. This is one that I listened to quite a bit, and I really couldn't suss out who the singer is.
Okay.
So I figured it's either someone I haven't heard before or someone I have, and I'm going to kick myself for not knowing. I put Mount Erie. It's not Mount Erie because Phil Elverum's voice is too sort of light and soft.
Yeah, it's distinctive.
This guy's voice is a lot sort of bolder.
Gruffer.
Yeah. Guessed it was called Senseless Tragedy. Folk. Hope that's a shoe-in. 2006. Random guess. And I guess it was a song that's similar thematically to one of our own. I don't think we've had that yet for you, so...
We haven't, no.
Maybe, but we'll see.
1 point, sir.
Cheers.
1 point for the genre.
Okay.
I would hope that this song wasn't similar thematically.
Okay.
And I'll briefly try my best to explain why.
There you go.
It is someone that I've played you before, but I suppose it was in different circumstances because it was a rare, slightly electronic foray for him. It's much more that he does classical guitar folk. And I mean like Spanish like style, fingerstyle stuff. This is Kil Moon, aka a musician that I think is on the banned list. I don't know if he's been accused of certain things. Mark Kozilek, also known as Red House Painters. Yes, same guy.
Didn't know that.
This is called Carissa. I want to say the opening track off of the album Benji, aka the name of
Your cat.
my cat. 2014, folk rock, chamber folk, alt country. This is one of my favourite songs of the last year.
Cool.
It's bleak. I mean, the whole album's bleak. The album's about death, generally. And I know I've spoken to you before about his lyrical style, where his first album, as Kil Moon in particular, it does so well to tread this line between stating real stuff, like just basically telling a story, but then also some really profound metaphorical moments. And Benji, you start to get towards where it's just storytelling. And I think after this, lyrically for me, I just become more and more disillusioned because it just started to feel like, and then I got on a plane and I went to Ohio and I stayed in a hotel, and the next day I played a gig with this guy I'd never played with a gig before, but he was cool and he lent me his guitar and I didn't really like it because it was too small. And I went back to my room and I had dinner and I went to bed and I thought about home. And at that point I started to think, man, come on. There's got to be something more to this, surely. But I think he's allowed to do it on this album because it's real stories that have happened to him. And they are also emotive because it's about real deaths and real scary things. And this is a story about a cousin or second cousin, I can't remember, of his, apparently called Carissa, who passes away in a house fire. 35, young. And the point of his song this song is basically about, like, I didn't know you that well. You were a cousin, second cousin. He says, the last time I saw you was probably at a big family wedding, but you were one of so many faces. We've all been there, where people know us, but we don't know them. We're like, hi. But it's a song about how, he still felt a blood connection to this person. And the way he puts it in the first chorus, I think, is, she was my second cousin. It doesn't mean that I wasn't there for her, and it doesn't mean... No, it doesn't... She was my second cousin, but it doesn't mean that I wasn't there for her, nor am I meant to give her life poetry kind of thing. I'm muddling the lyrics really badly. But he's basically saying, even though I didn't know you that well, there's nothing stopping me. There's no reason why I shouldn't give you something beautiful to commemorate you. Because you deserve that, because you were young and you were a hard worker and you had children. And it's powerful. This one is powerful. He's got the balance. It's not just mundane storytelling here. It still has an emotional weight. And I think that the story combined with what I think is some really lovely layered guitar work, like that cascading thing at the end of the chorus, I think is gorgeous. And then it doubles up with another harmony with the guitar. It's so sweet. And I listened back to this a couple of days ago on my way to another squash game, and I was transported all the way back to last summer when I was getting ready to go to Paris. And it was just so vivid. I haven't had that in such a long time of, oh God, I'm back somewhere. I'm in a memory. And it was at that point that I realised, no, this song, this was with me a lot last year. So it felt like the right choice.
Yeah. Nice.
So 1 point.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I've come across Red House Painters only very recently because I watched a video that was like the top like slowcore albums
it is described as slowcore, yeah.
And they came up and I thought, that's an interesting name, and I didn't realise that they had a connection to Kil Moon. That's interesting.
Cool. I don't know if maybe my understanding of slowcore isn't strong enough. I don't know if I'd call Benji, for example, slowcore.
No.
But yeah.
Okay.
So I said earlier, you mentioned this person's name, and I said interesting. I think it's this person ananyway. I put Clairo, but maybe I've been foolish for your number 7. 1 Clairo. I said it was it's another Valentine's Day song. This "Sexy to Someone." Which maybe you are to me. Who knows? Just let that hang for an awkward moment. There we go. 2024. Trip hop, kind of, because of the drum beat, but more so bedroom pop. That's the one I'm hammering on. Bedroom pop. I said maybe this was one of your favourite songs of the last year. I had a bit of a war of, if this is Clairo and if that is Cameron Winter, which album is he going for here?
Okay.
And so I kept tossing between the two.
Yeah, fair enough. 4 points.
Thank you.
It is Clairo. I thought she needs to get a bit more love on the day of Valentine's Day, because last time...
She does. She clearly needs it. Sexy to Someone, God.
Well, last time I used her, you, I think, repeatedly say, I hate you, Clairo.
Is it because I felt caught out? Is that why?
Yeah.
Sorry. Look, I've had the time to collect my thoughts, and I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. I liked this one a lot. So
cool. Yeah, it is called Sexy to Someone. I think it was the first single for this album. I put indie pop, but yeah, bedroom pop is valid. 2024. This was an album that was recommended to me by someone.
I don't remember you saying that. Must be
a very slight cop out, because I probably would have gotten to it anyway.
Okay.
But I listened to it at the time that I did, mainly because a good friend of ours, Tom Chong, was very complimentary about it, and he was saying, I think he's said it was his favourite album of last year, which it's up there for me. Okay, yes. I should have distinguished last time I talked about the Cameron Winter album, that being my favourite album of last year, that I haven't listened to a lot of music from last year. I could probably count the amount of albums.
Yes, I'm the same though.
I listened to that came out last year on my 2 hands.
But I think if I did listen to much stuff from last year, I didn't realise I was, because it was nothing mainstream. It was YouTube algorithm stuff kind of thing.
So yeah, just another chance to talk about it. A bit of a shoe-in for this game as well, in that category. Because I think I probably had about 4 or 5 that I was like, they fit into that category well, and I want to talk about them. And then probably the rest of them I were a bit like, this just sort of fits that category. I'm not eager to talk about it, but it would be nice to anyway.
Yeah,
this was one of the ones I talked about. Again, shout out her producer for this album, Leon Michel's. She's been doing the rounds of sort of young heartthrob producers recently. I feel her first album was produced by one of the guys out of Vampire Weekend, who produced all
Batman English. Is that his name?
I can't remember his name, but I think that's it. Yeah. He produced all Vampire Weekend stuff, and he produced the first Clairo album, which I thought was cool. The second one was produced by Jack Antonoff, who's out of Fun. And I don't know if Leon Michel's was out of a band, but he's a young producer guy. So she's clearly got a type, is what I'm trying to say.
Young producers, Chris, get in there.
And maybe those are the people she wants to be sexy to.
Chris, this is all you, man. You're young, you're a producer, come on. I'd imagine that this kind of song has been written quite a bit, but it is an interesting take on it at the same time. I think it's interesting to write a song from the perspective of wanting to be loved by someone, wanting to be viewed as admirable and that sort of thing by someone. And something she says in the chorus, and it's just a little thing I can't live without. Yeah, that being sort of a thing of, she acknowledges how much she likes it, because I think she broke up with her boyfriend not too long ago. Chris, man,
which is a massive shame.
Here we go.
That happened.
He said grinning.
I did have a massive grin on my face. She recently released a video for one of the other songs on it, which was quite funny because she had Weird Al Yankovic playing her.
Amazing.
Which is quite funny.
Oh, it's brilliant.
I like Clairo.
Evidently.
We need to... we need to harbour an acceptance that even though she has had help getting to where she is musically, that doesn't mean that we can dislike the music or dislike her even because of it. She's just doing what anyone would do in her situation.
I'm very happy to draw a line between this music is good, but I still hate the system, man. I still hate the system.
Yeah. It's a system, but if you can play it, I don't totally blame you for doing that.
Car seat headrest, Derek. Figure it out. Look it up. Research.
There you go. I have to brush up on my car seat headrest, but
no one should ever brush up on their car seat headrest. Remain happy. Don't do it.
So there you go. That is my answer for that one.
Cool.
On to this was the one.
Okay.
That I said I realised who I think it is.
Okay.
But I'm not going to change it because something that you said.
You're cool. You haven't said it.
I mean, something that you've said made me think about it, so it's wrong to change it, really.
Okay.
I'll listen to it again. Yeah, I think there's a good chance it's this. Yeah. Firstly, I put Swans. And then I heard the last one, and I thought that was actually Swans. So I changed this to David Bowie, mainly not because of the music, but because of the voice. The voice is sort of wobbly, and especially towards his latter years, I think his voice was starting to go a bit. And it was, I can't remember which one it was. I think the first one that you were talking about.
Okay, with the cementation anxiety.
Yeah, it was one of them where I was trying to think about people you've listened to this year and trying to come up with people, and I realised this is probably Xiu Xiu. So Oh well, and it's probably their new album, because I've heard that. I think the thing that didn't clock for me with Xiu Xiu is I remember the last one I heard of them, which was off of it's an album called A Promise.
Is it one I gave you?
Yeah,
probably off A Promise.
It was very dark, and that was just what I sort of associated with it. Whereas this was flipping cool.
It is so cool. It is so cool.
And so I didn't associate it with Xiu Xiu, and that's probably why. I just, the title, What's to Become of This Now, I think is something that Jamie Stewart said at one point. Art rock / industrial rock. Frustrating, I put industrial and didn't think of Xiu Xiu. It's quite annoying, really, isn't it? Sort of makes you think, do you know your own mind?
Do we have free will?
I put 2010, and a bit like one of the other ones we've done, I have guessed it is one of your favourite songs.
Yes.
The exact one after you have
Interesting.
told me about one of your favourite songs.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So,
unfortunately, this is 1 point. I'm sorry.
that's fine, mate.
For genre, it is Xiu Xiu, I'm afraid.
That's fine.
Jamie Stewart and Angela Xiu.
Yeah.
With, who do they get on drums? Well, they've got a live drummer now for this album. Like something Kendrick or something. Not Lamar. Nor Anna. But that's fine. It's called Veneficium. I don't know. 2024. Experimental rock, neo-psych, post-industrial noise pop. It's a key musical moment. That moment being, I interviewed Jamie Stewart.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And it was in light of the release of this album.
Yeah.
13-inch Frank Beltrame Italian stiletto with bison horn grips.
There you go.
I'm glad you said it's flipping cool. I think
crazy.
if you did ever want to get into Xiu Xiu, you wanted to drastically scar your mental health. This is, in a strange way, their most recent release is the most accessible.
I've heard it's very accessible,
because it's almost pop rock. It's still noisy, but it is like, it's the least scary. It's the least sad.
Yeah.
There are still a couple of moments where you think you kind of grit your teeth a bit. Like on the last track, when Jamie Stewart screams, I have loved you for 17 years. I think it's 17 years. You can't deny a love that real, or something like that. And it's at that point that you go, ooh, we're getting back to basics here. But no, it's a party album, man. It goes so fast. This is a banger. It's psyche, it's rocky, it's heavy. And what a pleasure it was to interview them, Jamie Stewart. They were so nice and they were so kind to me, because they answered all my questions, and they sort of kept saying, oh, what an amazing question, and all of this. And they were so awkward about saying, I'm actually going into a rehearsal now. I'd love to stay and chat, but like I'm getting frowned at by my band member in the car. Maybe that was Angela Xiu, I don't know. So I'm going to have to go. I'm so sorry. Did you get enough? Can I make sure you got enough?
That's very sweet.
They were so lovely to me. And it was, I think I'm a bit, I'm not a bit, but like I've come to terms with it now, but at the time I was beside myself.
Mate,
like, Jamie Stewart, I'm talking to Jamie
Mate,
Stewart.
never get over it. That's awesome.
I'm talking to Jamie Stewart.
Yeah.
Peter Gabriel interview comes soon. Release another album, please let me interview you, so I can just fangirl over you, and you can go, can I leave now? I feel uncomfortable. When I tell him, oh, have you moved house? And I say his address, and he goes, no. Jamie Stewart, lovely person. This album, a lot of fun. I'll leave it there.
Cool.
You can read that interview. It's on Outward Magazine. You should read it. Please give me clicks, please.
So that's what you meant by key musical moment.
Yes. Okay. Now it's been
there we go. That makes sense.
Dipped into a bit.
Yeah.
For your number 8, mate. This is probably the least I knew. I think there are bands I could have put, but just for the life of me, I couldn't remember names. This could be my Joker. We'll see. Not Joker. Sorry, my donut is what I meant to say. This could be my donut. I know this is wrong because it's not her voice, but I couldn't think of anyone else to put. I put Beth Gibbons, i.e. Portishead Lady.
Yeah.
Watch It Burn, 2001. Trip Hop, Heard in the Wild, which I now know is that bit's wrong.
I think I will give you a donut.
I've given you one. It's all fair. Love and war.
This is band I've been meaning to get into for about a year.
The Saturdays.
And I listened to the first Saturday's album recently and getting into their stuff. No,
we love you, Cheryl. Come to Brazil.
I'd heard a song of theirs called You Can Have It All, which in fairness I think was a cover, but I really liked what it was doing, as in of this band.
Sure, not the Saturdays.
They came up recently in an Idio Twin video in a, what was it? It would have been a draft in Y. It might have been the first one I said.
Oh, I can't remember.
It's got a Spanish name.
Yo La Tengo.
Yeah.
Yo La
Yo La
Tengo.
Tengo. Because I think they were always, they'd always been a band which I think I struggled to sort of understand what their sound was going to be like.
Yeah.
I'd heard, as I say, You Can Have It All, and which is off of this album that this track is off of, and it was refreshing. I love the drums because it felt what we here in Britain will call baggy.
Yes,
which is nice.
I like it.
This track is called Let's Save Tony Orlando's House.
I hope they did.
Well, I think by the lyrics, I don't think they were able to. Art rock / indie rock is what I put.
That's fair.
People call them the quintessential indie rock band, don't they? So to not put
do.
indie rock, I thought
you're
was
right.
Incorrect. 2000s when it came out. This was my joker mainly because I listened to it this year, not last year.
That's fair.
Yeah. What can I say about it? I mean, I think you know who Tony Orlando is. I'm guessing.
I don't actually.
He was I'm guessing Northern Soul sort of singer.
Okay.
Back in the day. And did you hear in the track they mentioned Frankie Valli?
I did hear Frankie Valli,
who was also another Northern Soul singer. I'm not sure if this is based on something that actually happened. I couldn't find anything about it, so I'm guessing not. And they've just made a fictitious scenario to do with it. But the idea is that there is a love interest in this story called Dawn, who ends up with Tony Orlando, but was with Frankie Valli first. And Frankie Valli's trying to get back at Tony Orlando. So he burns his house down.
Oh. Bit of Norwegian wood going on there, maybe.
Again, not sure if that's actually a thing that happened. I presume it's not, because then we would all be talking about Frankie Valli as an arsonist, not a singer, probably. But I think it's more of like a dark satirization of maybe they did have some sort of love triangle back in the day, but the lyrics are, I can't describe how humorous they are. It's just sort of like, as I say, dark humorous. It's a devastating scenario, and their lyrics are more sort of whimsical.
Is what it is.
Watch it burn. Reluctantly he leaves. Watch it burn. The acrid smoke making him wheeze, or something like that. I'm more besotted by the sound of the song.
Yeah, of course.
It's as I say, it's different, but it's not too different. I've heard the guitarist in the band called I think his name is Ira, IRA. I'm not sure if you pronounce that like Ira or Ira Kaplan.
Okay.
I've heard him rank in different positions in like guitarist of best guitarist of all time.
God.
As in, not up there, but he would be on the list somewhere, which is still very credible. And I understand why. He's got some good guitar work on this album. The singer is, I think her name's Georgia Humley. See the Humley or Hubley? Them two are actually married, interestingly. So I want to congratulate them for having the most stable inner band relationship of all time.
Fair.
You know, Sonic Youth couldn't do it. ABBA couldn't do it. You know,
Cocteau Twins,
a tried and untested.
Fleetwood Mac, obviously.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, lots of examples, but they've managed to stick it out.
Twin. What?
They've managed to stick it out. Fair play to them. The songwriting switches between them two, and all I've got to say is, Ira, you're not a bad singer, but
stick to the guitar.
I mean, but it's mainly because George's voice is. I mean, her voice is amazing. You hear their song, and their voice is beautiful, and you're just sort of like it means that when you get to Ira's songs, you think, yeah, it's nice, but I could be listening to Georgia Humley sing right now.
Put her on, give her the mic.
Yeah. But no, it's a good album. I like it. It goes through a lot of different sort of phases and sort of feelings. Love the artwork as well. Would recommend it. I'm going to listen to a bit more Yola Tengo.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I've heard this quintessential indie thing. I suppose that means you have to get round to them as anyone who's ever listened to The Strokes.
Yeah, that's the thing. You think it's going to be more like the Strokes, really, didn't you? Because quintessential makes it sound very important and not as unique as their sort of brand of indie rock is. It's a bit weird, but yeah. Your next one. Oh, this was one which I had a bit of a brainwave for.
Okay.
I've accidentally played the Yola Tengo one by accident. Let me refresh myself.
By accident, you just wanted to listen to it again.
There was one phrase used in this song that I
song is
picked
an
out.
Interesting choice of word as well.
The phrase was, "I have a plan for this world."
Okay.
And I remembered in that moment that there was an album with this title, I want to say.
Okay.
That has been labelled on some YouTube videos that talk about some of the scariest and eeriest music, and they've talked about this album.
You're cooking, okay.
And this was solidified to me by the weird robot-y sort of death voice at the end, which is quite uncomforting. I always find it funny because there's no way that you can describe how scary a scary album is by talking. You have to listen to it. And so when you're watching YouTube videos of people saying, this is the scariest music of all time,
and then you listen to it and it's like, it's okay.
Yeah. When I first thought about it, I remember that I think they've got a number in their name. I couldn't remember. It's not an artist I remembered popularly. And it came to me a bit, I think it's Current 93, I think is vaguely something along the lines of their name. I say it was called Avant-Garde Ambient, something experimental. I'm surprised I didn't put another genre quantifier to try and cover my bases there. I was too confident with Avant-Garde Ambient. I have no idea when it came out, so I just put 2000. And I put most obscure listen because somewhere in my mind said that you would have this for most obscure listen, even though it's not massively obscure, but it is sort of quite obscure.
It's renowned on the internet, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's gone. That's gone now, so it might be something different.
You're going to be very proud of yourself. You've got 4 points.
What?
And you're going to be very proud of yourself. All but the category, basically.
That's crazy, man.
This is Current 93.
Wow.
I've given you the title. It is I have a special plan for this world. 2000 exactly.
What?
Genre-wise, I had dark ambient, poetry, field recordings, experimental, noise, and folktronica.
Fair enough.
Because who knows, man. I include this one because I hadn't had a chance to talk about it. I wanted to. It had been lurking in my albums I've listened to numbered list for a long time, staring at me, much as the cover art does. It stares at you.
It does stare at you. Yeah.
And the whole time going, you're going to talk about me eventually, Fred. You have to. I'm one of the weirdest things you've ever heard. You're going to talk about me. But I thought it would be entertaining to use it in this game and tell you the truth of it, which was that I listened to it in the gym.
You nutcase. Absolute crazy man.
What can I say about this without eating up too much time? It's an EP, so it's not an album. Okay. It's about a 20-minute long thing of basically the Mr. Current 93 amidst all of the rotating members. The main big dog is a lunatic called David Tibet. I don't know anything about him other than if I'm basing things off his music, which I know you're not meant to do. But if you are, he must be into some weird stuff, man. He must be not right, not okay. Yeah, 20-minute long movement. He's at the helm. I think it's him reading. I don't know who wrote the poem, but I don't think he wrote it. I think it's a very long poem that's meant to be quite mysterious on purpose. And you can't figure out, is it something? Is it satanic? Is it like some sort of spiritual pseudo-religious prophecy? Is that the special plan? Is it about some weird cult? Is that the special plan? Is it about suicide? You're not meant to know. You're just meant to feel uncomfortable. Which I tell you, Chris, you do. You feel real. I keep talking about this mysterious list that doesn't really exist, but of like the most difficult listens of all time I've encountered. This is on there.
Yeah.
Not because like it's off-putting. I've heard like things that have made me sadder and more depressed. Depressed is the wrong word. But yeah, more melancholy. But it's just because of how disturbing it is. It's basically what you heard. There aren't any hidden movements other than that speech and then the like robot stuff for 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
He says a bit of poetry to the sound of like a clicking tape recorder and some like washed out droning synth chords, and then it cuts to, you hear the tape recorder click, and then you get about 30 seconds of and then it clicks again, and then he says some more poetry for another minute, and then it goes back to for 20 minutes.
Wow.
I can't remember how good the pump was after listening to this, but it's I don't want to use the word consequence. It's one of the side effects of listening in the way I do by following my list, because sometimes I'm sensible. I think I'm much more sensible than I was. And I look at the list now and I go, I don't want to listen to that today. So let me just do the one, I won't go too far. I won't scroll too far down. I'll still treat it like a list. But I'll do something that's a bit more, maybe I want to do some hip hop in the gym. That might make more sense. But this time round, I think I just looked at Current 93 and I knew what was in store for me. And I just went, screw it, man. Let's just send it.
Just see if this works.
Yeah, because I knew it wasn't long either. So I thought, I'm halfway through my exercise here. I don't want to listen to anything too long. I want to finish it. So let me just send it. I've listened to some other Current 93. It's all equally disturbing. The lyrical content is all about death and Satan and London burning. And you do wonder whether it is a cult rather than a music project at points.
That's the thing I was sort of thinking.
Because some of the stuff that's being sung about and said is just... it's kind of screwed. And it starts off as like gothic rock and chamber pop. And then it got to a point where I just couldn't, because it went too far into noise. And for me, it was just like, okay, I'm going to leave it there. Also, there are about 1 million albums and I don't want to do all of them. Yeah. So I've listened to as much as I want to. This is probably the highlight because it's so unique. I'll let you experience it in your own time should you ever want to. But I'll leave it there.
What?
Very impressive 4 points, though.
Thank you. Cheers. I was perturbed by the fact that he's, well, firstly British.
Yes, he is.
And is a Londoner.
Yes, he is.
Maybe. I think he lives in Hastings now, which I wasn't there too long ago. So
you could have bumped into him.
Maybe I accidentally walked past him.
One of his like fairy circles or something. No, there is... another popular EP I listened to, and this is just to indicate that all the music is much the same. I think it was an EP. Let me find it. Yeah, well, there's one called Lucifer Over London. Yeah, that's the one. And you can decide whether this feels too weird to include in the final podcast or not. Called Birth Canal Blues.
No, that's quite funny.
It is funny, and then you listen to it, and it is just grim and weird, and then the very final moment is all the music fades out, and then you get this, and then it cuts, and that wasn't a jump scare. For me, it was just like it happened. I was just like, well, that's annoying. Why have you done that? It's the
moment of birth when the baby cries.
That wasn't crying. That was baby gets birthed, and as soon as it comes out, it's put immediately in boiling water. But yeah, there you go. 4 points for one of the most strange things I've ever listened to in my life. Congratulations.
That's the thing, man, is I see those scary albums and I think, at what point am I going to realise that this is cult music or something like that? There's a lot of messed up people out there. At what point am I going to listen to something that is like, shouldn't be for my ears, you know?
In many ways, this probably isn't. To this day, I don't know what to make of it. I think it's actually one of the benefits of the list, because there are some things that I'm always going to be a bit intimidated by. But if I get to it and I accept that the list works how it does, I'm just going to go, just bite the bullet, man. Just get it over with. Okay. And I actually get through stuff I want to listen to, but I've been put off by. Anyway, enough about eeriness. Let's talk about your one here. Now, I thought this was your Joker, actually, because I put Pavement again. And I thought maybe you've done it like you've doubled down. And so one of them is the Joker. I said Starlings in the Slipstream, which I think is a lovely phrase. 1992, Slacker Rock. I think that's effectively the same answer I gave in terms of year and genre.
Yeah.
And yeah, Joker, of course. Joker.
Yeah. You were right to put the exact same answer, basically, because it's off the same album.
Insane.
As the last one. It's Starlings off the Slipstream, but you can get the points. So you get 4 points.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Slacker Rock, indie rock, 1997. It was off of Bright in the Corners. I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the first one. The album's Bright in the Corners.
Bright in the Corners.
Those are my favourite lyrics. I feel like I don't think I used a favourite lyrics one last year, and this year I've come across a lot more lyrics that I would describe as favourite lyrics. Mostly in Pavement songs. Because, well, Stephen Mackmus is a good lyricist.
It's why funny. I put favourite lyrics for the first one. I thought I knew that one of them was going to have it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And the reason the lyrics in this one are my favourites, because the lyrics I used in the extract, well, firstly I'll say, I started with the first chorus, which the first chorus ends with the refrain, Starlings in the Slipstream. And then the next verse going into the next chorus is, language of influences cluttered by high seas. We're not looking at that bit, we're looking at this bit. And I put a spy cam in a sorority who darlings on the split screen. Oh, it's poetry, but it's weird poetry. It's really clever, but it's weird. I remember first listening to it finding it hilarious, because I thought, you think he's just going to say Starlings in the Slipstream again, because it's the chorus, but he rhymes it perfectly and starts it off very well. It's actually
brilliant.
It's brilliant. He's amazing, man. I had a lot to choose from. There was another one which I liked that was sort of MF Doomy.
Pavement.
Yeah, like proto MF Doom. That's sort of like
mental.
So the lyric is from Elevate Me Later, which is off of Crooked Rain, Crooked Rain. And the lyric is, and the courthouse is double breast. I'd like to check out your public protest. Which reminded me of the MF Doom line. I think it's out of Great Day. Let me see if I can find it.
I think I know the line. I think
he says, where is it? Here we go. Spit so many verses, sometimes my jaw twitches. One thing this party could use is more booze. It needs to be done more. Artists need to do that more often.
It's so funny.
It's a great line.
Alternatively, if you want to go for lyrics where the artist is exactly what you think they're going to, I'll come back to the most recent addition on the band list, Mr. Kanye West. What's it? She asked me what I put on my wish list. Have you ever asked your bee for more bees? From Bound 2.
He's got some awful ones. I found on...
I got a PhD.
Yeah, I was going to say that one off of the College Dropout.
Yeah. I got a light-skinned friend. Looked like Michael Jackson.
Got a light-skinned friend. Look like Michael Jackson.
Got a dark-skinned friend.
Look like Michael Jackson. But yeah, no, I could have picked a lot of Pavement songs and they got a lot of good stuff. I find that Well, I mean, all over their discography, they've got great lyrics. I mean, I just mentioned one that was off of one of their earlier albums, so I can't say that their later ones are more lyrically potent. A lot of their tracks are. So, just listen to them. Got a chance to talk about Bright in the Corners, which is a very good album. It didn't hit on me first when I first heard it. It probably would have been my least favourite Pavement album.
Interesting.
But then upon listening to it again, I thought, actually, I really like this.
Bangs, yeah.
There was just, I couldn't tell, there's something about some of the songs which I just thought it didn't feel Pavement for some reason. But I listened to it more and I thought, actually, no, I think my presumption was stupid. So yeah, no, it's very good. And I'm happy that I could talk about it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Be. I'm glad you've had, deservingly, summarising your 2024 musically, a double Pavement billing. You know, it makes sense.
It felt right. Your number 9. I thought this was our favourite astronauts, Duster. Mainly because it sounded like Duster, and they mentioned astronauts, and I know that they have a space theme throughout a lot of their sort of albums. I guess it was called Let's Be Astronauts because that's what they said. Midwest emo / slowcore. 2019, I thought it might have been one of the... I know you've listened to some of their more recent ones.
Yeah, I have.
I'm not sure if... I mean, this might be off of, I don't know, like Experimental Dust or something, and I just can't remember listening to it. Something I listened to at the gym has already gone by. Once again, it's
the craziest one.
I've used it directly after you've told me 3 times. I think now it's been, but yeah.
I'm going to give you a point for the genre because I think I'm sorry.
Is it I for one?
It's not that either.
Okay.
It's one of them where I've been quite cruel. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But I really wanted, because I loved your idea of suggestion of like song that matches the theme of an Idiot Twins song. And I wanted really hard to try and find something that I could work for that. And this does work, in my opinion. It's by a new group. This is a YouTube recommended one, unfortunately,
cool. Nice.
Called Agile. It's called When We're Older, Let's. And then they go, Be Astronauts.
Very emo.
Very emo. But I'm giving you the point because that section, this is the end of this track, is very Midwest, very slowcore-y. The guitar work, I think, is so pretty at that point. 2024, this was an EP that just popped up. Okay. And I think it's one that's actually, it's not that, well, it is obscure, but it's done really well by the algorithm. It's got at least the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views. And, they're just some small band that have popped their EP online and they're probably going, emo violence or screamo.
That's crazy, yeah.
Matches the theme of an Idiot Twins song. I don't particularly know which Idiot Twins song. I can try and think of it quickly, but I don't want to waste time. I think it's generally this theme of aging or nostalgia that I find really poignant, just in that lyric alone. When we're older, let's be astronauts.
Yeah.
Like this childlike hope. Maybe Who Am I To, in a way.
Yeah.
Of hope and sort of the naivety of growing up and not knowing any answers to anything. Backed by, as I say, because I don't like emo violence. I don't like all the screaming.
No.
But this track is actually so well constructed. They're screaming on it earlier. It's like a 5-minute, 6-minute song. But I can let it go because the guitar work is brilliant and it's well structured to the point that it's not constantly a woman shouting at me. I get enough of that at home anyway. What? Joke. I just think this bit hits. You have this massive like cacophony of guitars clashing and the screaming going on in the middle, and then it all fades out and it goes a bit free time, and you get back into the dun 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 dun, and it just it's a floating one. Yeah, because you hear that and suddenly, whoa, okay, you've done well there. I'm glad I found it. Yeah, and I do think it's a nostalgia and the hope when you're young of what's to come next.
Yeah. Definitely.
I guess it's a bit spacey. Who Am I To is also a bit spacey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually quite like the EP generally. It's only 20 minutes long or whatever.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I'll give you 1 point for that.
Thank you. I wanted to congratulate you for finding the most Duster-like, not Duster song.
I
as
know,
well.
no, but it's only when you've said that to me, and I'm like, I'm thinking about that end bit that, like, wow, yeah, yeah.
Because I was sort of sat there thinking, even if it's not Duster, I can't not put it, because if it is, I'll kick myself. You know?
Maybe I should send them a private message saying,
I think you're ripping off someone here.
what's his first name? What's the guy's name, the Duster Man? Clay Parton or something?
Clay, yeah.
Clay Parton called. He wants his riffs back. So your last one,
Yeah.
The Final Frontier.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was a particular sound, Chris.
Okay.
Once again, we're talking about Chris's 2024. Who has he simped for in 2024 that we haven't spoken about yet? They Might Be Giants.
Mm-hmm.
He said Snowball in Hell. It sounded geeky. This is one of the geekiest ones you've given me. It sounded geeky.
Screw you, John Flansburgh, for having a geeky
Screw
voice.
your style that I love so much. I said 1990. It felt like the safest year to put.
Yeah.
Yeah. Similar theme is gone now. I can't remember what we've got left, but yeah.
You've done the year right there, yeah.
Amazing.
You're in
Thank
the
you.
ballpark of They Might Be Giants. You get 4 points.
Excellent, thank you.
One of my favourite songs is what I had it listed as. It is
cool.
by They Might Be Giants. It is called Snowball in Hell. Well done.
Thank you.
Geek pop, indie pop. I gave you geek rock, that's fine. 1988 is when it came out because it's off of Lincoln, which is my favourite They Might Be Giants album. And I feel like it was the same thing that happened last year when I picked my favourite album of last year. That one would have been the song by the band called The Wait. And I came to it similarly in that I haven't picked one which I would say is my favourite song. Maybe it's a recency bias, maybe it's this or that. I've come to it because I've said this is a song that I've listened to throughout the year constantly and I know I've not tired of. And it's one of the few that I can say that for, probably. I listened to this album at the very start of the year and I liked it initially and I still like it now. Generally the song is about being in a place where you feel like a snowball in hell. You are completely surrounded by sort of things you don't like, and I think
things that will melt you.
Yeah, I think it's a common John Flansburgh song topic to write about the monotony of like jobs and like I guess like not even like corporate, just like any monotonous job that
my guy is unemployed.
He talks about working a lot of sort of like low sort of minimum wage jobs when he was younger. And there's a song off of Flood called Minimum Wage as well, which is to do with that, even though the only lyric in it is minimum wage. But yeah, you get some nice phrases in this song, like the build up to the section that opens up and it's just the accordion, some drums, and like a narrative of a boss speaking to one of his employees.
I thought you'd given me something insane at this point. A radio drama.
He says, "Have a nice day. You want it when? Have a nice day. Have a nice day," which I think is more so to play to the point of those are just sort of phrases that you're going to be saying again and again and again. It makes it just monotonous. I think he uses the line "money I owe, money I a" towards the end, which I'm too thick to understand what that means. But
well, the money I owe to someone. I a is just a vowel word play.
I think it might be, yeah. But yeah, and then he likes to compare different things like avalanche or roadblock. You know, pick one of the two, which is going to be. Both are bad. A jailer trapped in his cell. It's clever.
I like that, jailer. The man who puts people in jail trapped in his own cell.
Yeah.
you put yourself in prison.
Yeah.
I like it. It's good.
It's for the fact that a lot of later They Might Be Giant stuff, I only tend towards John Linnell's songs because I enjoy his writing a bit better. I think in the early ones, there's a lot where Flansburgh is really just in his own, and maybe it's telling that my favourite song I heard this year is one of his. Yeah, top song. I'll continue listening to it.
It's top.
It's fantastic. Top. It is top. I'm pretty sure I ended last year's categories game with a They Might Be Giants one, but that would have been the Joker.
Oh.
So I think it feels fitting to end my one here with them as well.
Okay. So they're probably not going to end next year's one. So I shouldn't make that prediction.
You don't have to guess them next year. You'll probably be all right. I reckon.
No, but again, it just goes to show that is them. They've been at the top of your head, the top of your listening for a year officially, kind of thing. They bookmarked both, which is
exactly,
cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. So yeah, I'll leave it there. Look about your last one, which I remember saying earlier in the game I thought was Swans.
You did, yes.
Maybe it's not. It felt like it might have been Michael Gira, but I haven't listened to enough Swans to really know. Guess it was called By Your Side. I put Gothic Rock. The more I understand that, well, this not just being their early sound, but am I to understand that a few of it bleeds into like their very late early stuff, like Soundtracks for the Blind?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Which is really interesting, given how my presumption of that album was not that it was like this sort of sound, and I'm not saying that's what it's off of, but I thought it was quite a darker sort of weirder, more experimental thing, whereas this is more sort of sounds like what I imagine is their earlier stuff. So I said, yeah, put Gothic. Long way of saying I put Gothic Rock. 1995. And I said, I guess it was a song by an artist who dominated your listening, but of course that's gone now. So I'm not sure which category you're yet to fill, but we'll find out.
It's 1 point, I'm afraid.
That's a shame.
I'm very sorry. It is not Swans.
Oh.
I don't know if this will ring a bell. Giles Corey.
Yeah.
He's there. Okay,
yeah.
He's there. Spectral Bride, 2011.
Chamber
Folk, I'm giving you Gothic Rock.
Thank you. That's incredibly kind. Thank you.
No, because I think there's valid comparison there.
Okay, thank you.
Don't make me change my mind. And this is a vivid listening experience. So I don't know how much you know about Giles Corey.
I'm right in thinking it's the same guy out of Have a Nice Life.
Dan Barrett.
Yeah. I don't know beyond that. I'm just guessing this is... I remember seeing it on your end of year list and was expecting it to come up in the Forbidden Game.
Yes, well...
and it didn't. Is this the album where he's got like a bag over his head? And
I think that's a torture device. I don't know how it works.
Okay.
I need to...
It's not like waterboarding, or is that something
it might be related. I don't know. I need to be careful with what I say here because I don't know how bleak I'm allowed to go. I want to say that this album was made and released following a failed attempt, if you see where I'm going. Yeah. I have since watched someone listening to this and reviewing it on YouTube, and one of the top comments is from someone claiming to be Mr. Barrett's brother, thanking him for reviewing, but also saying he's much better now, which is lovely, which is such a relief. I think he goes by the name Giles Corey here, because from my research, Giles Corey was the only person to be convicted at the Salem witch trials without being accused of being a witch.
Oh, okay.
He was asked to testify against what we now know were innocent women, and he refused to.
Oh, I see, right. Okay.
And so the courts said, well, this is contempt of court or whatever. because it's not that they wanted him to testify, but what they want, without saying it, is we want you to say we can kill these girls because we're terrified of witches. And he refused to do it. And so they sentenced him to, a torture to try and get him to testify. So I think they put him on top of one slab of stone or something, and then put another slab of stone on top of him. And they kept adding more stones to that top slab to make it heavier. And I think the story is, it's so flipping metal, man. It's so cool. What a man. I think they said they kept going up to him. They added a stone to the top and they went, "Are you ready to testify?" And apparently all he said every time was, "More weight." It's so metal, man. And of course, he died for it.
Man, I've heard less cruel punishments in the Bible. Like, what
I
the
know,
hell?
but the more weight thing, it's just what a man. If true, I don't want to say something and then some historian go, no. But you can see the comparisons between the failed attempt and this, right? This I'm also putting in the group of hardest listens I've ever had, but not because it's noisy. It's a combination of very eerie, very macabre, but it's so bleak, like lyrically and, like tonally, sonorously. It's so bleak. It is an album made by someone with nothing left, right? They've put all of their last energy into this. This song, you get this out of this sort of droning acoustic guitar and layered vocals. This piano counter melody comes in the middle, and it's just like, it's the most bittersweet thing you've ever heard. It's like up there with when I saw a comment on The Coffin Was So Light I Thought It Could Fly Away, or whatever it's called, off of the Iophorn album, where someone wrote, "I've never heard a guitar sound so sad before." It's up there kind of thing. Because it's major, but it's like, it makes you go, oh God.
Yeah.
And your lyrics are, "If I don't survive, I'll still be by your side. All dressed up in white, I'll be your spectral bride." You've got a couple of songs on this album which are him talking to a partner or a lover or something, basically going, "I feel dreadful, but I know how hard it's been on you too, because you've lived it through me. And I'm sorry that I can't feel better for you. I don't know what's going to happen to me, but if the worst happens, I'm still there." Can you write something sadder than that? I don't know. I don't. There are 2 times I have cried to music in public. One time was when I was going to see a certain friend, and I was on the tube, and I listened to A Crow Looked at Me, and that was bad, man.
Dangerous.
This was, the vivid listening experience was very late one night, going through, this maybe the area near me that has a bit of a reputation for being somewhat more dangerous. That area where we often get the train to go to places. I walked there in the dark to get a bus along that main road, where I met a friend for a pub quiz.
Oh yes. Okay.
Very spontaneous. He told me about it on the day, and I was like, "Yeah, I've got a free evening. I'm not working tonight. Let's do it." And I knew this was bleak. I didn't know any of the context I've just told you, but I was on the top deck of this bus in very dark winter weather. Maybe, I'm not sure. I can't quite recall. Autumn weather. It was autumn. It was much later than that. And I was I didn't cry necessarily, but it was very teary hours, because it was just, it's so sad. It's an approach with caution from me.
Okay.
It's brilliant. And it probably will get on the top 200. It's like 210 or something, it's so close. It's amazing. This and Black as Bile are my highlights. Black as Bile is the one where he goes, and it hasn't been easy for you. I know that more than most. So on and so forth. Yeah, amazingly written. I prefer this actually a hell of a lot more to the have a nice life.
I was going to say, I wanted to ask how it compares to Death Consciousness, because I think Death Consciousness is one of the darker albums I've listened to, and so I don't have a lot to compare it to.
It is Death Consciousness is dark. This is darker,
Okay.
and also better. I didn't really understand Death Consciousness. I didn't get the hype necessarily. This, I think, is amazing.
Okay.
But approach with caution. What did I give you there? 1 point?
1 point.
Okay, very sorry.
It's either been 1 point or 5 points this game for me, apparently. So.
Well, maybe they've levelled out. Hopefully they've levelled out for you.
No, I think we have a clear winner.
For those that are not familiar, this is the scoring point. We tally up our scores, we share them. It's never really about winning, but it's just for the sake of it. Let's have a look.
We're scoring them, we might as well crown a winner, you know.
Exactly.
I've got my answer, and it is a little pitiful.
No, I'm sure. No. Look, we'll see. Okay, let's do it. 3, 2, 1.
Nice. Good game.
Well played. Thank you. In many ways, I think, it may be a sort of... I was about to say sadomasochistic, but that's entirely inappropriate. In a self-depreciative way, I kind of almost... I know that if I get the lower score, I then enjoy having a fake rant at the end of the game, trying to sound very angry. But no, I got 25 points.
I got 17.
17. The games are normally very close.
Thrashed me, mate.
No, they're normally very close. I think you probably won more in the first series, so what I should be going is, come on! Yeah, what a start.
Start as you mean to go on.
I do not mean to go on like this. I will fall back down. But that's not the point. We've discovered some great music here today, and we've celebrated a wonderful year for music for both of us. We've listened to some great stuff. Idio Twin have done some great stuff.
Yeah, first full year Video Twin.
First full year of Idio Twin. Where were you? No, you can join now. There's plenty of space, plenty of seats at the Idio Twin table. Stay tuned for that album. Come to any gigs if you're around. Look at our social media. Everything's there. Listen to the Whiteboard Game. Did you like this episode of the Whiteboard Game? If so, tell us why. If not, what could we do better? Would you like to be on the Whiteboard Game? Tell us. What music have you discovered from this Whiteboard Game? What were your highlights of 2024? Let us know all of this and more. Have you any closing statements?
No.
God,
that's shocking, isn't it? Chris has nothing to say.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, hope you're enjoying the evening doing something with someone you love.
Big smooches, am I right?
I'll be playing Minecraft with the boys, which is something I love, so who's really winning?
He will be happy. Minecraft will never argue with it. You know?
Minecraft doesn't leave you.
No, Minecraft doesn't leave you. Minecraft doesn't argue with you.
Oh, gosh.
Right, you can clip that one up as well.
You can tell them that they might be Giants fan, can't you?
Well, stop. Well, look, I don't know who's in a worse position. You can tell that they might be Giants fan, or people can't tell that I've listened to Current 93 and Giles Corey. Who's in the worst position?
You're that guy at the party who's standing there going, they don't know I've listened to A Special Plan for This World.
Yeah, no. What's even better is they don't know I have a special plan for this world. Like, you can look at those lyrics and they can be really funny, because what each stanza before the robot voice comes back in is he basically just goes, but they don't know. They don't know I have a special plan for this world. And that can be really spooky, or you go, get a load of this guy, man.
It's not an EP, it's a cult indoctrination.
What's your plan? Having a shower? Come on. What's your plan? Getting a girlfriend? Yes. We hope you are as excited about the return to the Whiteboard Game as we are. We hope you're as excited about other Idio Twin releases coming very soon. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining us once again. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next one. Now, if you're joining us just for this series, you don't know that this is a thing we do, but we like to end these games by going,
Whiteboard Game.